So let's go over what is actually happening in 2019. So the beginning of the year, New Horizons, the same New Horizons that passed by Pluto, is going further into the Kuiper Belt. It's going 4 billion miles from the sun to the object Ultima Thule, which is a contact binary object. That what that means is that it seems from when they observed it pass in front of the sun, they looked at the shape and they tried to decide what it looks like. It looks like there are two bodies that fused together through some impact or something like that. And New Horizons, which did a tremendous job of photographing Pluto, is actually going to take us to Ultima Thule and show us yet another Kuiper Belt object in the Kuiper Belt in the deep dark of the third zone of our solar system. So we have all of that to look forward to on New Year's. So New Year's Eve, this is when this is happening. OSIRIS-REx just recently arrived at the asteroid Bennu, and asteroid Bennu, the reason that's very important is because it's one of those early objects in our solar system that's really been untouched. It's just been in orbit, hasn't impacted anything. And what's on the surface, what is on that asteroid that OSIRIS-REx will capture and then return to Earth is the ingredients of the early stages of our solar system. So we are going to find out what the makeup is, what was there, what was present in those early rocks of stellar matter. We're going to find out what that is, so then we can take that and apply that and look towards the future. It could bring us another step closer towards finding life. Then there's also Hayabusa 2, which has gone to the asteroid Ryugu, which is doing another sample return mission. It's going to actually return it back, and it actually relates to Japanese folklore. From what I understand the folk story, there was a fisherman who found a sea turtle, freed the sea turtle, and that sea turtle then brought him to Ryugu, which is the dragon palace under the water. And while the fisherman was there, he was given a gift. And when he returned to the surface, what seemed like not that long that he was in the dragon palace, hundreds of years had passed by, and it wasn't until he opened the box. He was told not to. He opened the box and then became an old man instantly and died. But that's not going to be the same box that's going to return. It's going to be sample from the asteroid Ryugu that's going to tell us more about what's there. Then recently, we just had the InSight mission land on Mars, and that's going to tell us even more and give us, ready for this? Insight into that particular place in Mars, more answers towards, was there life possible? Is there still life possible there? We're going to get more info for that from InSight. And that was a big, big moment online, definitely. And even as we talk about here all the time, talking to people in real life, people were really excited about the Mars landing mission. And Mars has kind of become this really popular space thing. People are really into exploration, and that's a lot of what we're going into. But 2019 is the year of America returning to human spaceflight for the first time since the space shuttle was retired in 2011. So from 2011 to now, 2019, we finally have two companies, American companies, that are developing commercial crew spacecraft that are going to bring American astronauts, launch aboard American rockets, and launch from American soil, because we've been using the Soyuz with the Russians because it's the only capable system to launch humans to the International Space Station. And what Boeing is doing with the CST-100 Starliner, their first big thing you'll see in 2019 is a 30-day robotic mission. So the CST-100 is going to launch, and then it's going to, by itself, no humans. It's going to test a bunch of things, make sure everything is ready. This is a testing ground before they ever send humans up there. And then we should see a crewed flight by the end of the year that could get pushed off, but that's what to expect from Boeing. On the other side of the coin, the commercial crew, you have SpaceX and Dragon 2, and what Dragon is going to test first, very soon actually, from when this episode's being released, they're going to test the first test flight, unmanned test flight of Dragon 2. They're also going to be testing the emergency abort system, just like you saw with the Soyuz ballistic abort recently, to make sure that if there is a problem, the crew can get away, and those Draco missiles from the Dragon capsule will push it away. We've seen one test of a grounded flight do that, and we should see the first manned flight and the first potential, this is if the schedule holds up, first commercial crew mission officially from SpaceX this year. And on the human spaceflight recently, you had Virgin Galactic. They just had their first flight of Spaceship Two, actually went to orbit and went to the edge of space, and they've finally made it to that human spaceflight level. Within 6 months, Richard Branson has already said he wants to be up there testing it. It's his company. Probably going to happen. And he's been known for all of the PR stunts that he's ever done. He's been in them, whether it was the air balloon. So many of these he's done himself. I expect within the next 6 months we'll see him up there. Everything's been looking good. Their tests have gone well. They did lose someone in the test flight stage early a few years back, but they've come a long way since then. And on the other side of things, we've got Blue Origin. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos has already said they expect within 2019 to have their first human crewed flight. And their systems have tested repeatedly. Their rockets have launched and landed safely. There was an emergency abort system that also tested well. And their system's really built around sending humans to space. It's not set up to send multiple things, where SpaceX is set up as a business to launch payloads for customers and really push how far we can go into space. But by doing that, they have a different size rocket. So Blue Origin is really based around just sending humans into space. And there's a lot smaller spacecraft, different class, really. But it's going to be interesting to see all of that. Those 4 different companies doing human space flight, and NASA finally returning to sending humans into space, and us sending them to the International Space Station, keeping that going as long as we have it in orbit and as long as we can, as we develop to the next stage of going to the moon, which is now officially NASA's saying we're going to the moon to stay, essentially. We're going to start building a colony there and then use that as the testing ground to go to Mars. So even though historically it seems to go back and forth with different organizations or different political parties that are running NASA at the time, it seems to flip-flop. It seems we've done a good thing where we've piggybacked on the fact that we've developed the SLS. Even if the space launch system becomes too expensive and has to go offline, we still have the commercial crew to develop, and the focus of everything here, and I think the message that you're going to see in 2019 is push to explore. And you see that with so many different things. So I'm super excited about what's to come in 2019. I know you are. And all I can say is stay tuned. We're going to have a ton to talk about. And if you have any ideas, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, Today in Space Podcast, on Twitter, Today in Space Pod, or at El Greco, ELGR3CO. Then you've also got me over at todayinspacepodcast@gmail.com. Check out todayinspace.net, the website. You can find everything and search it easily. So if you ever need any scientific content on space, it's there. We've got tons of it. And that's one of the original missions. I was an aerospace engineer when I was in college, and there was very little extra material that you could research. You couldn't Google a lot of this stuff back then. This wasn't like stuff you could just find. That has all come up in the last few years. And part of Today in Space was, all right, well, if there isn't content out there, let's put content out there. So I'm going to keep doing that. We're going to keep bringing that to you. And for 2019, all I can say is it's a fantastic future, and all we're going to do is spread love and spread science. We got a lot coming. I'm not going to spoil it. So I hope you have a great year. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, spread love and spread science. See you then.